these songs that I'm singing, these are all old, authentic trail driving songs. None of these are Hollywood songs. They're all ones that came out of that time of driving cattle on the trail. Here's one that was not a trail driving song, but it's relevant. Those boys out driving cattle that was hard, dangerous work. But you know, in a lot of ways, it was hopeful. They were trying to recover their state from the tragedy of the Civil War. So they thought by driving those cattle off to Kansas, they could make some money and bring it home, help their family. Maybe their fathers had died in the war. But so that was a hopeful time. But not everything on the Brazos River was hopeful. We're kind of using the Brazos as our theme here. And there's a song that came out of the time right after the Civil War. The lower part of Texas, the more southern part of Texas, was settled by the Austins and the other people. My ancestors came here in those colonies. But they settled those areas to be sugarcane plantations. We all hear about cotton, but cotton was farther north. The southern part was sugarcane. And as with cotton, of course, those were slave economies. And so after the Civil War, the slaves were freed, and that economic model fell apart. But in 1867, just 2 years after the Civil War, the state legislature passed a law that landowners could lease the prison population to work in their plantations. Well, about 60% of that prison population was black, so it was sort of like, you know, slavery all over again, but in a little different way. And so this song came out of that time. That law continued up through 1915, that landowners could lease the prison population. So here's a song, and it makes a couple of references that I need to explain to you. One of them is Go Down Old Hannah. Old Hannah was the kind of a code word for the sun. Because if you're out working in the sun, hoeing the field in Texas, you know, the sun is not your favorite thing. Going down is a good thing. And at one point it says something about a lifetime on your head. Well, that's a lifetime sentence. Now, the area where this song was set is basically, much of it is what is now Sugar Land, Texas. Anybody been to Sugar Land? Yeah, pretty nice looking place, isn't it? A lot of nice subdivisions and shopping malls and things. But if you look closely at Sugar Land, I wrote about it in my book on the Brazos. If you look closely at Sugar Land, you see berms, dikes, canals, and so forth. Well, that was all part of the stuff left over from from those sugar plantations. So, they're telling us something up there.
Oh yeah.
He's flying into that north wind. He's got a hard thing to do.
Pretty cool.
Okay, well, here's this song. You should have been on the river in 1910. They were driving the women like they drove the Go down, old Hannah, don't you rise no more. Don't you rise up till the judgment is for sure. Ain't I'm okay, ain't on the Brazos. It's all been ground down to molasses. Captain, don't you do me like you done poor old Shine. Well, you drove that bullet till he went stone blind. Wake up in the morning, lifetime on your head. Well, you may get a pardon and you might drop again. Ain't I'm okay on the Brazos. It's all been ground down to molasses. Pretty sad song. But rivers are transformative. I'm a river scientist. I know the biological processes by which a river can transform itself. The San Marcos in the 20s and 30s was highly polluted, terribly polluted. It's not now. Rivers, if you stop putting in the pollution, the rivers clean themselves because they continue. If you keep the water flowing and you stop the pollution, the rivers can clean themselves. The biological processes within the river can do a lot to cleanse the river. You can exceed those processes, you kill the river, but even the River Thames. Anybody, you've been in London, a bunch of you. The Thames there. In 1868, Parliament there at Westminster had to take woolen blankets and put over the windows. Those blankets were saturated with antiseptic that smelled so strongly that it masked the smell from the Thames. Because the Thames is a tidal river. You know, the tide comes in. Well, the City of London, of course, was putting all this sewage in the river, and it would go out with the tide, but it would come back in with the tide. So the river had turned into just a big cesspool and smelled horrible. Well, the Thames is clean now. You can fish in the Thames. You can eat the fish you catch there. So rivers ecologically are transformative. And also I think for us psychologically and spiritually, they're transformative. Think about how many religions use a river symbol, the River Jordan, you know, in Christianity. So rivers have some meaning to us that's maybe deeper than just looking at the river. So this song kind of illustrates that. I'm gonna lay down my sword and shield down by the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside. I'm gonna lay down my sword and shield down by the riverside. I'm gonna study war no more. I ain't 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 gonna study war no more. I'm gonna walk with the Prince of Peace down by the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside. I'm gonna walk with the Prince of Peace down by the riverside. I'm gonna study war no more. Y'all join me. I ain't gonna study war no more. 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 Well, okay. Little transformation. Well, getting back to Penn Kimmel and the Brazos River and our story, it's flowing down towards an end here. And here's where my story departs from fact. My family all stayed up around Waco, northeast of Waco. They were cotton farmers. Never made enough money to pay off the bank, but you know that's what they did. So they were total landlubbers. But I'm changing the story here a little bit, and I'm saying that my great-grandfather actually moved down to Freeport and was a sailing boat captain. And so this would be a song that my father would have sung. So you all know this song, but I'm changing the location of it a little bit. Sing along with me if you want to. Come on the sloop, John B. My grandfather and me. Around Galveston we did roam. Drinking all night. Got into a fight. Well, I feel so broken. I wanna go home. So now hoist up the John B. sail. See how the mainsail sail. Off on the captain ashore, let me go home. I wanna go home. Why don't you let me go home? Well, I feel so broken. Well, the cookie caught the fits, away all of my grits. Then he took and he ate up all of my corn. Let me go home. Why don't you let me go home? Well, I feel so broken. I wanna go home. So now hoist up the John B. sail. See how the mainsail set. All for the captain ashore. Let me go home. I wanna go home. Why don't you let me go home? Well, I feel so broken. I wanna go home. First mate, he got drunk, broke into somebody's trunk. Constable had to come and take him ashore. Sheriff Johnson, why don't you leave me alone? Well, I feel so broken, I wanna go home. So now for some John B. sail. See how the mainsail set. Call for the captain ashore, let me go home. I wanna go home. You know I wanna go home. This is the worst trip since I have been born. I wanted to take us down to the bays, because in terms of rivers, those bays, estuaries they're called, are exceedingly important, not only to the rivers but to life on Earth. I taught a course about rivers for 20-something years at Texas State University about river management, and I used to tell my students that your final exam in this course is 40 years from now, at the end of your career, the health of the estuary that your river flows into. Because the estuary really is, an estuary is where a river flows into a bay. The fresh water comes in, meets the salt water, mixes with the salt water, and makes a unique, highly productive environment. That mixture of fresh and salt water. It's a nursery area for many, many species, and it's also where most of the nutrients come in that supply the nutrients for photosynthesis by the plankton in the ocean. So the rivers flowing into those bays are a crucial part of the life support system of planet Earth. About 50% of the oxygen that we breathe comes from the oceans. But the nutrients for that production that produces that oxygen come from those rivers. So another way of looking at rivers. So Galveston Bay is fascinating in that it is surrounded by one of the largest petrochemical installations in the world, yet it is the second highest producing estuary in the country, second only to Chesapeake Bay. There's been a lot of recovery, a lot of restoration and recovery and taking care of Galveston Bay. So we can do better. I'm an optimistic environmentalist. I think you folks doing the kind of things you're doing here, the kind of things that we've demonstrated we can do on this river and Galveston Bay, all those places, you know, we can take care of our home if we care to.